Like, if you do not have the money to spend, then you have the time to invest. And you're gonna have to figure out which one it is, right? I feel like we're in a culture of a little bit of lazy people, of lack of better words. If you cannot afford to get postage or get EDDM mailers done, then why not print it and then just deliver it with a door hanger, right? You need to get your message out, get started, get that money under your belt, and then start investing it into this.
Because the management and transparency is what's very important. So once you submit a referral, you're going to have your own Home Advantage account, and it's going to tell you where everything sits. So if you have 10 referrals that you've sent into the network, it's going to give you all 10 referrals. It's going to tell you every milestone that that client is sitting in, whether they're touring homes, whether they're in escrow. And you now can manage through the Home Advantage application as far as what your pipeline looks like for the referrals that you've sent. And so it's pretty sophisticated, and it's all click of a button, guys.
Welcome on the back end to you Zoomers here. Wow. There's a lot of people that want to learn from you today, Janine. Or Felix is just that big of a deal. Probably a little bit of both, if I had to guess.
They're here for Janine. They're here for the mailers.
I love it. I love it. We are live. We're live in the Facebook. The count on the back end just continues to grow. You will usually ask like a question to get you guys engaged, but frankly, there's too many of you. So we're going to get right into the meat and potatoes here today. And I'm going to totally admit, and I just told Felix and Janine off camera, I am here selfishly, probably for the same reasons that you guys are, because when I saw how many mailers that Janine is sending out every year and how she's turning in ROI, frankly, I want to hear about this. I want to learn this because this is like an OG tactic. We're talking about farming here, right? Like paper, like this isn't digital anymore. And I told them off camera, our mortgage company, USA Mortgage, we are pretty well known for our print marketing. It's one of the things that we bring value to our agents, and we print over 500,000 print jobs a month. We did 6 million last year alone. And so we're doing a lot of print for agents. Janine, I need to learn what you're doing so I can share that with the agents that we work with. So I'm really excited to have you here. Felix, if you have anything to say, I'll let you say it, and then let's get going.
Yeah, guys, if you guys are not doing mailers, you should be doing mailers. Remember the days that we loved when we got email? Those days are long over. But remember the days that we have the personalized mailers that we get. People love getting stuff in the mail today, and it's so different than it used to be. So this is why I'm here. I'd love to learn from Janine also. But Janine is a Coldwell Banker agent in the Chicago metro area, and she has been teaching agents on how to be more successful with mailers since last year. She also wrote a book about this, so you want to stay tuned to get details about her book. But Janine, yeah, let's jump right into it. What do you have to share with us today?
Awesome. I'm really excited. So I have a teaching background, so I do have an entire slide thing for you guys. I'm a visual learner personally, so if it's okay with you guys, I'm going to go ahead and get that one pulled up to really just cover a bunch of things. So for everybody to take notes on frameworks, marketing examples, and all of that good stuff. Sound good?
Beautiful.
Yeah, let's go.
Awesome. And whoever created this graphic inside of LabCoatAgent, whoever you hire, you should give them a raise because, this is pretty impressive there on the graphic skills.
Our team is really good. They're really good.
Yes, they are. So direct mailers 10x return is obviously what started this whole webinar that I got one of your admins to reach out. Let me see if I can move this window here. All right. And I want to jump right in. No, this was not your cell phone. I had my VA put this together on just a bunch of the mailers I've sent over the years. And I really want you to take a lot of note on the frameworks on it. So my bold promise for agents on this one is really to make sure you get actionable items for a 10x mailer. I've been sitting on so many webinars and I just heard fluffy stuff and, nothing that I can put into action personally. So I figured I want to make sure you understand that what I'm sharing with you, you can literally get a notepad, write it down, and then implement it right after this webinar. So also, I'm a big fan of bribing people because you're all busy and you all get distracted. So one of the things that I always try to make sure is a secret segment if you want to stay on live. So don't run away. Put that phone on silent. And the other thing is the system I use is not built on saturation. Okay, you can mail somebody silly with mailers after mailer after mailer, but it's not built on saturation. I'm not looking for you guys to use the system to mail every single month, bi-weekly. The system is built completely different, which is why it works so amazing for agents that really don't have a lot of money to waste, because what's the number one objection? It's too expensive, right? So it's really something that is built completely different, and it's for the agents that are willing to learn it and to use the system because it does cut costs. And we'll talk a little bit about that. So a couple statistics: customers receive about 90 email solicitations a day versus 2.5 pieces of mail. Don't ask me how that half piece gets in there. It is what it is, right? But this one was a study that was done in 2020. And you guys can probably agree that your email is overflowing already. So let's put that in perspective. I'm not going to say social media is terrible, but 4,000 to 10,000 ads per day, and you wonder why you're having such a hard time standing out. Obviously, I know Jeff is amazing on the social media, so talk to him about that part. But that's nearly double the number of ads that the average person is now seeing. And it's crazy. I mean, if we're looking to stand out, why are we trying to stand out in an area that is so saturated, right? I don't like uphill battles. I like things to be a little easier. And that's really why I went to mailer marketing.
So, but I've been mailing now for 14 years. So, it took a long time to get there. So don't overthink it. I started with just 500 homes. And here, I'll show you where we've gotten, so where we are right now, so that you can have a better understanding of what that looks like, what you should be shooting for, because I strongly believe in mailers, because I get to interview some of the most amazing agents. And I can tell you, those agents that have a business that is now a career, they have two things that they do often. Number one is they build relationships through constant communication. And the other one, believe it or not, is some type of mailing.
All right, I found this one and I figured while I'm in LabCoatAgents, I might as well make sure I'm going to plug Tristan right here for what he thinks about mailers. So this is not something that, is a strategy that's really new, but it's a matter of how do we implement that one. So that is kind of what I want to talk about. And for, the fact that he said, build a career out of it, that's really what most of us are trying to do. So he also said it took a long time. So I went back and I said, well, it took a long time. I just got a brand new listing in my brand new farm in 27 days. Now there's people out there that will say, if I pick up the phone and I want to make as many phone calls as it takes, I can get a listing in a day. And I'm not here to disagree with that. You can totally hit as many phone dials as you want. That's not me. So I am personally an introvert, hence I'm super comfortable behind the screen right here with you guys. But I got one in 27 days in a brand new farm. So is it possible for you to get something on mailing number 1? Yes, it is. And I have really proven over and over it's possible for other people too. And I'm going to tell you exactly how, why, and what.
Janine, can I ask you a question real fast?
Sure.
Before you get too deep into this, and you mentioned the social thing, which I love that you said that, and as it relates to this social, door knocking, calling expireds, prospecting, all the different techniques and strategies you have in your real estate business, what I tell people is that you can't rely on just one. But I'm curious. I know agents that do rely on just one, and you can if you do it correctly over a period of time. Is this your primary or only strategy currently?
This is not my only strategy, and partially you'll see 2 strategies in this entire webinar bundled up because the core tactic on them is mailers, or the core strategy. However, there are 2 tactics to it, and that's going to be the number one thing we're going to talk about right now, because both of them have mailers at the core, but completely different lead sources.
Awesome.
Okay, so definitely that's an exciting one too, because every time I unpack that one, people are like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. And I'm like, yes. So just a little bit on the timeline here. The mailer was received by that homeowner January 6th. I got a phone call January 10th. I went on a listing appointment January 12th. I sent them a follow-up text January 18th. And I got a text back from them on January 27th stating, you're hired. So just a little bit on a timeline. The fastest way to succeed is to model, mimic, and master. And I always applaud agents if they take time out of their day, because we don't have a ton of time as agents. We're always busy. There's always something going on, but really taking the time to look at something, model it, mimic it, and then go out and master it is where your results are coming in. So real quick introduction on myself. My name is Janine Sasso. I have a hyper-engaged farm of 3,500 homes. And like I said, just added a second farm of 1,500 homes, bringing my total up to about 5,000 mailers a month. I'm a mom to 2 young kids. I did write 2 Amazon best-selling books, recently moved into my dream home in my company's top 5% as a solo agent. So that is me. Some more numbers. My first closing was 9 days into the year, referred to me from my event mailer. My first listing for 2023 was signed 20 days into the year, called me from a mailer. My first referral listing appointment happened 31 days into the year from a lead nurture mailer. So like I said, I do mail a lot. I have also grown my market share and now have agents and buyers reaching out to me for the market heads up. That's kind of like a really nice perk. I've become the go-to agent whose name people just recognize, who spotted them at the coffee shop or grocery store and greeted with the words, aren't you that real estate agent? Believe me, nobody remembers my name ever, but it's always like, aren't you that agent? And that's exactly what I want. So also some of my most amazing failures, because if I only tell you the good stuff, it wouldn't be much fun, right? So I tried to, be like everyone else. I got started in this business in 2015 and people, were giving me all the advice, try this, do this. And I was doing all the things that everybody else was doing. I was actually wearing like dress pants when I first got started for my very first year, like button downs and dress pants, and I was very uncomfortable. I tried to blend in with the average agent. I tried to do all the things. I tried to reinvent the wheel, and I tried to outsmart proven concepts. And well, long story short, it's listed under my failures because I didn't get very far. I also got designations that I don't use. I wasted money I didn't have just to find out that this really wasn't making a difference at the end of the day to my career, my bottom line, any of this. So my goal with this webinar when I put it together was really to help you and save you from some of that pain and agony and give you the fast path. So I'm personally a big fan of really put your money where your mouth is kind of thing. So this was something that I pulled when I created this webinar. You see here, December of 2022. It's talking about the market share. I have the percentage in here because some of you guys are selling $100,000 houses. Some of you guys are selling $1 million. So as you can see right here, the market share is roughly at 12% for all property types and all of that. So I really want to make sure I'm not just coming to you saying like, hey, you know what, I had this one-time success. This is something I do quite often. So here are the 3 things that we're going to talk about. The 2 types of mailers, and that's what Jeff asked earlier. It's like, is this the only thing? No, but there's 2 things that both have mailers at the core. So not only are you going to get one strategy today, you're actually going to end up with 2. And I really want you to discover the different types so you can explode that business, because diversifying and not putting your eggs in one basket, in my opinion, especially in 2023, is really, really important. I want to talk about 10 reasons people take action. You really need to understand that to open a floodgate of buyer and seller leads on your mailers. And then we're going to talk about the list. The money is in the list. And I'm going to share with you 3 types of lists that you can draw from to bring your mailer game to the next level. So let's dive into those 2 types of mailers. And that is where most people say, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. I differentiate between lead nurture mailers and lead generation mailers. Your lead nurture mailers is sent to a warm market to stay top of mind, build brand awareness. So you are not going away. Okay, so my lead nurture mailers, who's that, right? We're going to talk about that list in specific a little bit later on in the list segment, but you really have people that have had an interaction with you. That might be people that are in your sphere, that might be your friends, your family members, that might be people that received a mailer from you and said, hey, I want to know more, but they're not quite there yet, right? It's our nurture campaign. And the other one is our lead generation mailer. So these mailers are sent to a cold target market to build the brand awareness and create opportunities. Because at the end of the day, that is what your mailer is supposed to do, create an opportunity only. So this one probably looks familiar to a lot of you guys. It's the funnel, right? Get to know, like, and trust factor. And your mailer is no different. Your mailer is the top one. You see, like the cold market, get to know you. According to a survey, 82% of consumers choose print ads as the most trustworthy when making a purchase decision. Print marketing is absolutely huge. And getting in front of the right people at scale, so important, right? So this one is where we start out. Now, here is where we're going to talk a little bit more about it. You have this thing saying, like, I want to send a mailer, right? First thing you do is you think about the design, what's going to go on it. Then you're going to be like, well, where am I going to send it to? And then how am I going to send it? The print, the shipping, all of that good stuff. The nice thing with my system is that I'm cutting costs and controlling objectives on all these levels. Now, some of you guys might say, like, well, that seems like a lot of work. I'm like, maybe. My results, however, are also there. I'm not squandering money away by just saying, yeah, go ahead and do it for me, right? I'm very, very controlled with what do I want the objective to be? What do I want the design to be? Where's the mailing list going to go? And really structuring it so I get the best possible results. I got a couple questions, so we'll see if we can get the chat going, but how many of your followers see your Facebook business post? How many of your followers see your personal Facebook profile post? How many people open your email? And then what is the delivery success rate of mail? So I figured just, putting a couple of these questions out there and see where people are at with their numbers. It's always a good eye-opening exercise because so many people think like, oh, I posted on Facebook, but people don't see it. They just don't. So based on a couple statistics, you're looking at visibility for your Facebook business page of 1 to 2%, an engagement rate of a whopping 0.11%. Again, by average, your Facebook followers, that was 35% back in 2013. I don't know if anybody has an updated one. I searched a lot and I couldn't find something.
It's roughly 10%, and that's across most social platforms. Roughly 10%. There is no scientific equation here, but about roughly 10% of your followers are seeing any one individual post. Now, some obviously perform better than others and some underperform, but roughly 10%.
Wow. And then we got the email open rate. The industry average is at 33.25. Your click rate is under 1% and your bounce rate is almost 13. Now, the delivery success rate of mail, 99. Somebody said 100 and I'm like, well, there's people that have moved. You always get something coming back in the mail. So let's say 99 because you will get your stuff delivered, which is amazing. So first thing I want to talk about is design. And before we dive into that component, what you have to understand with design is why do people take the action, right? So what's action, first of all? Because so many people are like, I want them to take action. Great, but what does action look like for you? This is a prospect in action, just to really put it on a visual, right? They're standing there on the cliff, don't know what to do. And they're like, okay, I'm going to do it. They're going to take that leap of faith, right? And they're going to make it. And then they're happy on the other side because they did it. Happy new outcome. But the big question is, what happened there? What got them running? What got them to say, yes, I'm going to go and do it? And that one here, I want to share with you 10 reasons the prospect does take action, okay? People take action for one of these 10 reasons. You're going to have them go and say, come on over, list my house because of one of these 10 things. They want to make money, which obviously our COVID market was great for that one. There was a lot of people that says, yeah, I want to make money, sell my house. I got another one. They want to save money. Right now, we have a lot of inflation talk in the market, right? The grocery carts, they're like double the cost that they were 2 years ago. They want to save money. Everything's gotten more expensive. Taxes go up. Let's downsize the cost. Save time. Maybe they're commuting for an hour and a half each morning to get to work. Maybe because after COVID, they now have to go back to the office. They bought this amazing house. And then the boss says, hey, you're coming back into the office 5 days a week. And they're saying like, oh no, that's not good, right? Avoid effort. Is the upkeep too much? Is there too much going on with the house? The other couple ones, they come more out of a marketing perspective, the mental, the physical pain, all of that stuff. Get more comfort. What if we have stairs and somebody just had knee surgery, right? Number 7 goes into the health market for the cleanliness, the hygiene, the better health, where I will say I had a client once and they wanted to move because the house that they had was so dilapidated that it was wearing on, the person. So it was much more on a health reason. Gain praise. Oh, look at this big house you got. Congratulations. You must be doing great, right? Feel more loved. That is much more on a family aspect, and then increase their popularity status or social status. Like, hey, yeah, we are now in this amazing neighborhood that's so exclusive, right? So if you really look at these things, there's reasons people take action, and you need to understand your prospect. Why are they moving? And I know, Jeff, you asked me, can we get into the avatars a little bit and everything? And that's really what we're doing here. We're trying to figure out what is their motivation, right? Who are you serving? Who is your person? And why are they taking the action that they are looking to take? So my personal avatar for years and years has been people that raised their children in their house and they're now ready to downsize. This was always where I said, I can help these people. I've been doing it over and over and over. And my message speaks to these people. I'm not telling them I can sell your house for the fastest amount of time. They don't care. They're retired. They can be on the market. They want to make sure somebody really helps them along the way, right? So you have these 10 reasons why somebody takes action. And the more of these reasons you can hit on your mailer design, the better. So when it comes back to the design, your mailer needs to clearly state what you can help them with, right? Number 1 marketing formula, WIIFM. What's in it for me? And it doesn't matter if that prospect is 18 years old or if they're 80 years old. They want to know what's in it for me. They don't care how many millions you've sold. They don't care how many years you've been in business. They want to know, how can you help me? And that's the component that most agents are not clearly articulating in their mailer marketing, where it's just a generic piece going out, treating them like they're 1 in a million, right? So that was the design aspect on it. And people always ask, do you have designs? I'm like, well, it depends. Who is your avatar? What do the houses look like? And that's why I said, I love controlling objectives. If you have houses, because you live in Florida, I want to make sure I have houses on my mail pieces that look like houses in Florida. If I have houses, I'm in Illinois, I'm the Chicagoland market, I want to make sure that there's no palm trees in the pictures, right? I mean, simple things like that to really control your design in as many possible ways. If I can find a house that is really, really similar to the houses in my specific area I'm looking to dominate in, like that is already like way better than just picking a generic design of any sorts. The next thing is your mailing lists. And there's 3 different types of lists that you can draw from. We already talked a little bit about the SOI, right? The sphere of influence, past clients. Targeted, that's an exact address match, address to the person's name, and then the blanketed, the geographic area. And most often it is addressed to a generic name. Now you see the color coding on it. We're going from blue to a cold market, to yellow, to a warmer market, to red, obviously people that know, like, and trust you on that. So example of the SOI, your lead nurture mailers. I really want people to see that as that secondary tactic you can use your mailers for. How many of you guys know you have to stay in touch with your past clients? How many of you guys know that you don't want to text them because it's cumbersome, right? I got somebody that I talked to, and he was very involved in taking care of his elderly mother. Now, a lot of people only heard that side of the story. And I'm like, well, I'm just taking care of mom, just taking care of mom. He forgot to continue to bring up that he's a successful real estate agent. Even his friends and family members ended up hiring other people because he wasn't making sure that they understand, I'm taking care of mom, but I'm also having a successful real estate business. And these mailers, and I have examples here for you, once a month. They just need to see you once a month in a very professional setting. That's actually my 2022 lead nurture campaign that I personally send out. Anybody that I have done business with, they get this one. If you're looking at it from an investment standpoint, I roughly spend $6 on each and every one of my past clients in order to stay in front of them for something that they have trusted me, and it's given me thousands of dollars. Like, that's the easiest, and it's scalable. I don't have to invest more of my time. I don't have to invest any more of my resources. I can just say, well, instead of 50 past clients, I now have 500 past clients. What goes up at this point is my money that I spent on it. But obviously, if I have 500 past clients to now love on, I mean, good for me, right? We're not quite there yet, but you see how the scalability is just so important in a world of us being extremely overwhelmed with all the things we have to do anyhow, right? So this one here, January, February, March, April, May, June, like I said, every single month. That is the one that is your repeat business. That's your referral business. So that is my second income pillar. So people I've done business with before, or people that refer people to me, this is where this strategy comes in. Second one, the targeted lists. It's an exact address match, and it's addressed to the person's name. So it's definitely personal, right? I have a couple of examples here of places that you can get that list from. HomeSnap, Remine, for those of you guys that are familiar with it, you can look for likely to move, ownership time, and then again, it goes back down to some of that messaging we're going to put on there. If somebody is owning a home for the last 20 or 30 years, you should probably talk to them about the pride of ownership. You should probably talk to them how hard it could be to move somewhere else. So there's just a little bit on that. And then other resources, there's Cold Resource for that one. I mean, there's just so many, amazing services. You can purchase lists that are specific for expireds, canceled, for sale by owners, any of that. But you can then use that to mail to these people with a crafted message. And the way I compare it is your Facebook experience, for example. If you pull up your Facebook, and you will see everything that interests you. Me, for example, I'll see a lot of marketing stuff. I'll see a lot of real estate stuff. If I now go and look at my husband's, he's going to see a lot of cars, old houses. It's this tailored experience that makes this super, super amazing. And then the last list you can consider using, let's talk about this one first. This is HomeSnap. So for those of you guys who have HomeSnap access, it's called a heat map. So this is an example of a heat map. I got an email from an agent who said, hey, this property is right now in our private network, meaning they signed up with an agent, and meaning that they are going to be listing their home publicly shortly. I went into HomeSnap, and sure enough, it says most likely to list. The artificial intelligence services that you can use with these targeted lists have roughly about a 10% accuracy, which some of you guys might say, what, only 10%? But if you mail to 100, 10 of these people might actually accurately be looking to list, which is an amazing, amazing statistic. And then the last example on the list is the blanketed list. So if you're looking to mail something, this is your most cost affordable way to do it, right? That's your every door direct mail service through the United States Postal Service. It's most often used by the geographic area, addressed to a generic name, really making sure that you can cover an area at the most affordable way possible. So that is where I do a lot of my mailings for my lead generation mailers. My lead generation mailers, they are the blanket. They go over everything I do. So my area, EDDM, most affordable way to do it, and then generating leads. So the United States Postal Service says every door direct mail is advantageous for acquisition, branding, and informational campaign. And that's exactly what you guys need to use it for, okay? Acquisition, branding yourself, and providing information. So one of the things that I always get asked is, well, how do you do it? And that comes back down to your call to action on your mailers. So I'm a big fan of visuals, as I already said. So I figured, why not do a little, traffic light? The number one call to action that most agents do is the hardest one to put on a piece of mail. I don't understand why we're trying to do the hardest thing first. The hardest one, call me for a free CMA. Call me for a free market analysis. Let's meet and discuss your needs. Call today for a free consultation. These are hard. You're asking somebody to take time, oftentimes a lot of time out of their day. You're asking them to take an action. You don't know when they get the mail. I oftentimes go through my mail at 10 o'clock at night. I'm not going to call you at 10 o'clock at night, right? So really understand, what are you asking them to do on your mail piece? It's okay if I give you guys a little bit of an easier one to try. Event signups and registrations. A little bit easier, right? So register to be part of our annual neighborhood event. Now you're making it about the community. You're making it a lot easier. Register for a free picture appointment, right? We have an operation that we do outside our area that we call donate a can. So you just have a food donation. They come, take a picture with the Easter Bunny, for example. But it's an easy way to continue to promote something and collect people inside a targeted area. And then obviously you can also do on-demand buyer and seller seminars, right? It's just that ease of use that you're looking to get out of it. And then the easiest of them all, lead generation. It's super, super easy to accomplish. Download your free guide, get access to your home value instantly. Take our free quiz. Like, these are the call to actions that people should have on their mailers in order to make their campaigns a lot more profitable. And probably everybody's just saying like, oh my gosh, like this doesn't seem so complicated so far, but we all go back to, something that seems to be a lot harder. Call me, call me. Let's make it easier. All right, promise you a top secret segment if you stay on live. Want to know what makes my mailers so successful, right? The number one question on this one. It's a triple M marketing model if you really are dissecting it. And the reason I give you so many different, marketing models in general right now is because I want you to take it and apply it to your ideal client. Maybe you're looking for people that are first-time buyers. Maybe you're looking for sellers that have owned their house for 30 plus years. So the one thing you want to look at is really your market. Who is that for, right? Then your message, looking, okay, what will resonate with them? And then last one, your medium. Your medium meaning, how do you reach these people? This one here for me, a lot of times that's the mailer. I will also add in there maybe a note card. Maybe they need something handwritten, right? Maybe they need to get a letter. Having that medium in there to really understand how can you interact with these people. We can't just hide away and not be visible. So really make sure you understand what are you trying to accomplish in all of these three areas and align them. There's a reason the triangle is the strongest shape, right? Align your market, align your message, and align your medium. Once you do, you create this amazing model where you can just say, okay, my market, these are these people that I'm trying to get. my message, here's how I'm going to help them, going back to the action we covered, and then the medium. What are they going to open? I love postcards because they don't have to open it. It's right there. It's in their faces, right? And that's how I get to build that brand. All right. So last one I got here for you guys is the print and the shipping, because this is the part that keeps most people out of doing any of this. So the first one here, first class versus marketing mail, right? First class, that's your stamp. Put a stamp on it. The stamps just went up 63 cents and it gets pricey. You can get postcards. I don't know the current cost of postcards. Maybe somebody in the chat does. When I looked it up, it was 35 cents. That was like 5 years ago or something like that. Pretty sure it's more expensive now for a little postcard. Marketing mail, this is your EDDM. Your EDDM routes are at 20 cents, I believe they were. Might be 21 cents right now. But that was 20 cents to just get that out via EDDM. The other principle a lot of people forget is time versus money. I'm like, if you do not have the money to spend, then you have the time to invest. And you're going to have to figure out which one it is, right? I feel like we're in a culture of a little bit of lazy people, of lack of better words. If you cannot afford to get postage or get EDDM mailers done, then why not print it and then just deliver it with a door hanger, right? You need to get your message out, get started, get that money under your belt, and then start investing it into this. The other thing that oftentimes people ask is in-house local printers or large companies. If you can print in-house, best thing possible, right? If you are with a brokerage that you have the ability to print in-house, it'll save you the cost. You might have the cost of paper to consider, but if you don't have to pay for printing, that's huge. Now, obviously, a lot of you guys are not having that as an option. So what could you do next? Local printers. And the reason I say local printer first, check always with a local printer, is if you are going with a local printer, you're going to support another small business. And these small businesses are oftentimes able to also help you get started, right? What works, what doesn't work, as long as they are cost effective. And for that, one of the local chains, for example, you can check out is Minutemen. So a lot of times I have people check out Minutemen because they are national, but they are still small businesses. They're small franchises. It's definitely something to check out. And the last thing I have on here is large companies. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of large companies just because I love another person making sure, you know, everything is on there. Now, large companies, you can definitely find things like Vistaprint. I'm not a fan of the quality, I want to be honest. Like the last couple of times I've gotten pieces, they were okay for my business cards. For the postcards, they weren't as amazing, but that was, again, my experience. Feel free to try it out and test it out a little bit. For me, it's a local printer. So I hope this kind of answers a lot of the frameworks on it. On what, and then you said, in case you guys are wondering, it's Success with Real Estate Mailers on that one. It answers a lot more questions. We've just updated it. It includes 30 graphics. So for those of you guys saying, but I want to see graphics, they're all in there. But keep in mind, your graphic needs to match your avatar. It needs to draw out who you are trying to target. So let's see if we got some questions, I guess.
I got a couple for you, Janine.
Right.
So you were talking about knowing your market and your avatar. How long does it take you to design what you're going to mail out to each of these different people? So your hot market, your sphere and past clients, and your targeted market, and then your cold market. Like, how long does it take you to design all of these campaigns for the year?
So I don't design the entire year off the bat, just because markets change, right? So if we think back on our October market, for example, our October market came to a screeching halt everywhere. If I had a pre-designed campaign talking about, our market is on fire, blah, 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 it would miss the mark on a lot of things, right? So for me personally, I do not plan out the entire year. I go by quarters. Maybe it's because the 12-week year is a great book to read on that one. I think always like rechecking, realigning your goals is a great exercise all of us could do. but it's also because our market shifts so quickly. I mean, right now, all of us are reporting multiple offers again. We wouldn't have had these conversations 4 weeks ago. Now we're all like, man, I'm like, where's all these like buyers coming from? So really the pivot of it is kind of what keeps me away from designing 12 months campaign. I get asked over and over, do you have a 12 months campaign, or do you have a generic campaign you can just layer over? And my answer is no. I'm like, if you want to build your mailers on the principle of effectiveness, not saturation, you need to really be in tune with what's happening. What are the conversations? Because if your clients and Facebook groups are great for that. If you have Facebook groups and they're talking about, oh my gosh, I can't believe everything is so expensive. And you know that this person looks to be within your age category of your ideal client, these are a lot of times the conversations happening. So then my mailer will change to, listen, taxes just went up again. I have the plan to get you from A to B, make sure you actually have a quality of life again, right? So it goes back to who is your ideal person that you serve. And then from there, you tweak it. Now, how long does it take me? It depends on my streak of creativity. I'm going to be honest there, right? Sometimes I'm like, I can get it all done super, super fast. And then there's a week where I'm just like, man, I'm drawing a blank. That's just me on a creative aspect. I do teach a system of, really trying to find out what are their struggles and then designing a postcard based on that. Image inspiration is huge for me. Again, going back to the fact that I'm a visual person and just really seeing like Halloween, for example, right? Halloween, orange, thinking about things like that. I go to Google and I just type in something that is along these parameters to give me started on the inspiration. Sometimes helps massively for me to jumpstart it. And then from there, just, okay. And a call to action, number one call to action out there is still, what's my home worth? If we are looking to get seller leads, the number one call to action, what's my home worth?
Perfect. That's amazing. So actually that leads us right into some of the questions that were being asked here. So the number one call to action is, what's my home worth? Well, how would you utilize that? So I've got a question from Edie that says, what do you use for instant home value?
Personally, I use Cloud CMA. So the other one that I know a lot of people talk about is HomeBot. I can give you my opinion on HomeBot just from a user perspective, because I had a lender set me up on it, said, hey, why don't you just check it out? So I did, and I went to HomeBot, I put in my address, and the first thing that it gave me was, well, based on your address, I think your home is worth, let's say, $350. From a consumer standpoint, that's all I needed to know. I don't need to give you my email to give you or send me a detailed report. If I off the bat right away get what I came for, I'm good. I'm going to bounce off that site. So that's just me personally. HomeBot, the monthly, reports that they do generate, it was great for COVID because everybody was like, yeah, our house went up another $20,000 this month, right? But in a much slower paced market, that might not necessarily be the case, right? So do you want to check in every single month if your value changes $5? I don't know. Test it, tweak it. At the end of the day, that's what it goes back to. Testing, 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 right?
And would that be a good first mailer to send out?
The what your home is worth?
Yes.
So personally, since we're still in the beginning of the year, I love calendar mailers. It is my number one mailer that I've sent for years and years. It's just a, calendar overview mailer for the year. And if I don't want to send out a calendar, or if I've already sent one out, or I feel like it's too late in the year to send one, I would send a market update. I would send a snapshot of, hey, here's what sold last quarter, just list it out, and then tell them, by the way, because your neighbor's home just sold, your market value changed again too. And then tell them, get your updated home value right away.
And are some of these examples of actual mailers you use, are they in your book?
They are.
Okay. I had multiple people ask in the chat if they could see a sample of a mailer that you use. Are you able to share maybe a couple that you actually use?
Yeah, let me see if I can pull up a couple. Do you got any other questions? Well, I got to look for all of them. Sorry.
And I know I watched some of your bootcamp a little bit. So I know you design your own mailers, but what programming do you use to design your mailers? Is that on Canva? Is that on another program?
Canva.
And let me just start shooting off some of these questions here. So we had Corey ask, do you ever use QR codes on your mailers?
I did on a couple of them. So interestingly enough, I'm part of a group for geofarming, and we did discuss, QR codes quite a bit on it. Do they work amazing? I don't know. I mean, I can't say I've gotten so many more calls since I've slapped a QR code on it. I have a big feeling on it of if it doesn't hurt it and you have the room, put it on there. But I'm not saying like, oh, it's a QR code on it, now I have 50% more responses. Like, it's just not the case,
And what about frequency? So I'm getting the frequency question a lot. So how often are you mailing to each of the different types of mailer classes? So sphere or your warm market and the targeted and the farming stuff?
So the sphere mailer every single month. Those are people that are repeat or referral business opportunities. They get something monthly. As for my farm, I typically have 7 to 8 mailers I send. That's it.
Wow.
And for me, I gotta say, I'm in a seasonal market. So I will mail more heavily during the winter months as everybody is sitting at home. And typically during the summer months, I do also have my signs as leverage on the ground.
Wow. And the questions keep coming in, Janine. So people are really, really excited to pick your brain about this. So Bree asked, you said you did mailers to past clients once a month. How often do you, okay, so it was already answered. So how often do you send out EDM to warm market? So we answered that one. When you first started, how did you decide your target audience and how long did it take you to put together your mailing list?
So when I first started, I started actually not with mailers, I started with flyers. So going back to the principle of, time versus money, I didn't have any marketing money to spend. So I started with the principles I shared in this entire thing today and just made sure I delivered flyers. And I didn't know who was going to be on that route. I just had a message and I made sure my first one, I was asking them to register for an event. So again, this is like all of these principles, right? I was essentially the guinea pig on my own to just make sure like, hey, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try this. So the first one I tried ended up not being the, hey, call me. Might it be lack of confidence because I just got licensed, right? And I'm like, no, please don't call me. I don't want to talk about what your home is worth because what if I don't know the right answer, right? And from there, I just asked them, hey, I'm planning to do an event and would you like to participate, right? So that is literally what I did on my very first mail piece, 100 flyers that went out or that I door hung actually. And I got 10% of people saying yes, they are giving me an email and I was able to follow up with them until my budget, I think after like year one, I grew into my first mailing route of 400 homes. It was like $120. And from there, I added and added and added.
And we were asked multiple times also, what is the size of the mailer that you use for EDDM, your postcard?
6.5 by 9. The book itself has a template actually in there for the most commonly used one. So it's in the back of it as a resource.
And Edie asked another question. What was your first event that you invited to?
Garage sale, a neighborhood garage sale.
Wow. Okay. And are you getting more calls, emails, or site visits? Do you track site visits on your website?
I do see my site activity. But I'm gonna be honest, I'm not obsessing about it. So it's, people come, people go. What I want to see is the interactions coming in, right? The emails coming in like, hey, we got your piece in the mail. Would love to chat with you about our home. That's the kind of stuff that I'm looking for. And then the most other questions I get is, what's your ROI? So for this one, for last year, for example, we calculated it. I did spend $28,000 on mail. So, you know, people are like, man, that's a lot of money. I'm like, yes, but we're looking also at a $285,000 return that came back on the commission. And that's gross, right?
Wow. So guys, ROI, $20,000 invested, 285,000 GCI back. And Lindsay is asking, is it a good idea to send out a neighborhood introduction to my neighborhood that I live in? It's saying like, hi, I'm
your neighbor, right?
Yeah.
Personally, I call it the most wasteful mailer you can send. I'm just going to be honest. It's a mail piece that is all about you. Why would somebody, remember, number one rule in marketing, WIIFM, what's in it for me? And if you're just talking about yourself, well, kind of missed the mark on that one, right? So I call them the most expensive mailers to send. I don't see the value in them. That's just my personal opinion on them. I wouldn't recommend anybody send them. I know they're pretty, I get that, but you can say you are living in the neighborhood without making your entire mailer about living in the neighborhood.
And we're almost out of time here, so I know there's so many more questions in, but let me ask one that I think has been asked a lot. So, what type of events are you pushing besides garage sale?
Any events that are leading up to the sale of a house.
You heard it here. So, any events leading to the sale of a house, garage sales. And Janine, thank you so much for your time and your knowledge today. Guys, you saw her book. Can before we get out of here, can we put your book back up on the screen here? So you can order Janine's book on Amazon. And let me see if I can squeeze out one more question here. And have you ever coached a lender on this? So we have a lender that asks if this would work for lenders.
So, well, yes and no. So the lending world is heavily regulated, obviously, on the whole mailing thing. And how can you make it work for you? It's really just provide the value, right? Provide a value in a way that doesn't scream, fill out an application, because for us, it's the phone call that is intimidating. For a lender, it's, hey, give me all your personal information, including your social security number, so I can make sure you are, qualifying. Like, that's a big ask, right? An ask that's absolutely necessary, but maybe not on a mail piece. So find ways that you can just contribute. I have, for example, created before a resource on 9 loan scenarios that, work in our area. And that's just a simple one where you can say, hey, here's an additional 3 scenarios that most lenders will not even tell you about. And really just helping them to understand. Remember, EDDM, for example, what did it say? It's advantageous for really the branding, the information, and the acquisition. You just want to get people who are interested in learning about loans, right? And that would be your first stop. Where are people in their journey to even say, hey, what's the current rate on, HELOCs or whatever? Find whatever niche you have and then go after it.
And real quick, we're out of time, but Ludwig did say that we got sidetracked. So we were going to show them a couple of samples or examples of some mailers, and then we got sidetracked. So let's do that before we drop off here. Okay.
So there's a couple ones that I had in there. Again, the book has now 30 of them. These are top 10 just listed, under contracts, and the just sold one obviously on that end. And then this one here is a calendar. I talked about this one being the number 1 hassle-free cash offer on day 1. That's a pretty good one too. Why? Because it right there says what is getting them into action. This one here I sent personally, obviously not with this lady, but with my face on it. And what it did is it generated me a listing in a matter of 5 days. So I sent this mailer, hit the mailbox. I was in their house the next day. I got it ready the next day. I had the photographer there, and we hit the market on day 5. So, this was this one here. The offer that was on there was a cash offer. So I said, hey, get a cash offer. I did present him with a cash offer and also told him, you know, I can get you more money if you only let me. And he agreed, and we got more money. This one, top 10 mailer designs, is the neighborhood market snapshots. So that's the number 2 mailer I would recommend you consider sending. Comic mailers, and it's the imagery is really similar to what you would see on a Facebook ad, right? Stop the scroll, make them really see things that are different.
Janine, this is great, but we're out of time here. So any last minute thoughts real quick to wrap it up?
Nope. Hit me up if you have more questions. Please don't flood my inbox, but I will try to answer any and everything. And all of these examples are inside the book.
Wow. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you so much for the information.
You got it.